Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Weekly Wildlife Wisdom. So far, I've been your host, Zero Yeti. Without further ado, let's get into it. The first animal of the week being Conochites tarinensis, better known as the blue wildebeest, the common wildebeest, the white-bearded gnu, or the brindled gnu. It is a large antelope in the family Bovidae, which, along with the black wildebeest, makes up the genus Conochites. In the wild, blue wildebeest live throughout grasslands, savanna, and brushlands in southern and eastern Africa, where they congregate in large herds which can number in the thousands. The blue wildebeest is most active during the morning and late afternoon, when they feed upon short grasses, trees, shrubs, melons, and other fruit, roots, and tubers. These extremely agile and wary animals can run at speeds of up to 80 kilometers an hour or 50 miles per hour. Despite this, common wildebeest are common prey items for lions, cheetahs, wild dogs, leopards, spotted hyenas, and Nile crocodiles. Three African populations of blue wildebeest take part in long-distance migrations, timed to coincide with the annual pattern of rainfall and grass growth on the short-grass plains. During such time, hundreds to tens of thousands of common wildebeest will travel up to 1,000 miles or 1,610 kilometers, often alongside thousands of plains zebra. Males are larger than females, reaching around 4 to 5.5 feet or 1.23 to 6.5 meters tall at the shoulder, and 5.6, 7.9 or 7.9 feet or 1.7 to 2.4 meters in length, and 365 to 640 pounds or 165 kilograms to 290 kilograms in weight, compared to females, which get around 3.7 to 4.7 feet or 1.14 to 1.42 meters tall at the shoulder, 5.7 to 7.1 feet or 1.75 meters to 2.15 meters long, and 310 to 570 pounds or 140 140 kilograms, 260 kilograms in weight. Both males and females have distinctive L-shaped horns, and they have a pale gray or brown coat with a blue sheen and dark stripes across their neck, shoulders, and chest. Blue wildebeest have a long black tail and a long black mane. Their beard trails down under their neck and is white. During the breeding season, which spans for a 3-week period at the end of the wet season, males engage in so-called lekking behavior, gathering in all-male groups to display to females via sparring and vocalization. A male may gather a harem of females during the breeding season by outcompeting his rivals in lekking scenarios, thus securing the rights of nearby females. Although leks and harems fragment soon after the breeding season to reform into bachelor and yearling herds again. After a 8.5 month pregnancy, a mother common wildebeest will give birth to a single calf, which will remain by her side for 8 to 12 months. Female blue wildebeest reach sexual maturity around 16 months of age, and males at around 2 years. Under ideal conditions, a blue wildebeest may live up to 20 years. Next up is Aplodinotus grunninens, better known as the freshwater drum, the sheephead, the sunfish, the russelfish, shepherd's pie, gray bass, gaspergou, gaspergow, grunt, grunter, rinder, gobble gobble, and croaker. Is the only species in the genus Aplodinotus and is a member of the family Scianiidae, which is endemic to the lakes and rivers of North and Central America, from the Appalachians in the east to the Rockies in the west, and from as far north as Canada to as far south as Guatemala. Freshwater drum tend to prefer clear waters with a sand or gravel bottom, but can also be found in turbid or murky waters with clay bottoms. Freshwater drum's diet is typically comprised of insects, smaller fish, crustaceans, and various mollusks, in particular bivalves such as clams and mussels. Freshwater drum are themselves eaten by otters, alligators, crocodiles, turtles, bears, marten, various birds, aquatic snakes, larger and larger fish such as bass, walleye, muskie, burbot, singer, pike, and gar. Most freshwater drum are typically around 12 to 20 inches or 30 to 51 centimeters in length and around 5 to 15 pounds or 2.3 to 6.8 kilograms in weight. However, the world record was a drum reaching a whopping 39 inches or 99 centimeters length and 54.5 pounds or 24.7 kilograms in weight. The freshwater drum is a deep-bodied fish which may range in color from silvery gray to a deep brownish bronze. The head and body slope upwards from the snout to the dorsal fins and give the fish a distinctive humpback appearance. The lips are milky white and the pelvic fins are also white but often tinged with orange. The dorsal fin is long and is divided into two distinct parts consisting of 10 spines and 29 to 32 rays. During the summer, freshwater drum move to warm, shallow water that is less than 33 feet or 10 meters deep. They spawn during a 6 to 7 week period from June through July when the water reaches a temperature of around 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 degrees Celsius. During the spawn, females release 66,500 eggs into the water column, and males release their sperm, making the fertilization random. Males generally reach sexual maturity around 4 years, whereas females reach sexual maturity around 5 to 6. Under no conditions, a freshwater drum may live upwards of 70 years. Next up is iguana, better known as the green iguana, the American iguana, the garrobo, the ministro, the iguanita, the garrobito, or the common green iguana. It is a large arboreal, mostly herbivorous species of lizard in the genus Iguana, which is native throughout much of South Central and North America, from Paraguay to southern Brazil and up to northern Mexico. They are also found throughout much of the Caribbean and have been introduced to Florida, Texas, Hawaii, Fiji, Ishigaki Islands, Singapore, Thailand, and Taiwan. Green iguana tend to dwell in forested areas, often near bodies of water, as they are proficient climbers, swimmers, and burrowers. These primarily herbivorous lizards feed upon various leaves, fruit, flowers, tubers, shoots, and as well as the occasional arthropod, worm, tree snail, fish, egg, rodent, or carrion. Green iguanas are themselves preyed upon by various canines, felines, snakes, crocodilians, bears, birds of prey, and large fish. When threatened, a green iguana can drop part of its tail as a distraction to help it escape from a predator. These do regrow, albeit to a limited extent, reaching around 3.9 to 6.6 feet or 1.2 to 2 meters in length and 2.6 to 20 pounds or 1.2 to 9.1 kilograms in weight. With females being a fair bit smaller than males, the green iguana is considered to be the largest iguana species in terms of length, although there are a few that are heavier. Distinguishing features of the species include a pendulous dewlap under the throat, a dorsal crest made up of dermal spines that runs from the mid-neck to the base of the tail, and a long tapering tail. The dewlap is more developed in adult males than females, and although called green iguanas, these animals are actually variable in color, with various populations appearing blue, lavender, black, or even reddish-brown in color. Breeding occurs during the dry season. Around 65 days after mating, a female green iguana will dig a nest where she will lay 20 to 71 eggs before burying them. The hatchlings emerge from the nest around 10 to 15 weeks of incubation, and under the conditions that a green iguana will reach sexual maturity around 3 to 4 years of age and live up to 20. Next up is Cynomys ludovinicanus, better known as the black-tailed prairie dog. It is a rodent of the family Scariidae and one of the 5 species of prairie dog, with the others being the white-tailed, the Gunnisons, the Utah, and the Mexican black prairie dogs. These prairie dogs are native to the Great Plains of North America, from southern Saskatchewan, Alberta, Canada, to northern Chihuahua, Mexico, and is from as far east as the U.S. state of Iowa to as far west as Arizona. Black-tailed prairie dogs are often highly social animals which live in large towns in the wild that may contain thousands of individuals. Towns may be subdivided into 2 or more wards, which are based off of topographic features such as hills or creeks. Wards are usually subdivided into 2 or more coteries. A coterie typically consists of a dominant male, 3 to 4 adult females, their young pups, and yearling juveniles. Individuals within coteries are amicable with each other and hostile towards outside individuals. These rodents are famous for creating elaborate burrow networks which serve as refuges from the external environment and are one of the most important features of their colonies. The burrows are used for breeding, rearing young, hiding from predators, and are maintained from generation to generation, serving as stabilizers on both the physical and social aspects of the colony. A black-tailed prairie dog's diet is primarily comprised of grasses, flowers, forbs, sedges, along with the occasional thistle, root, worm, grasshopper, bushes, other insect, and cacti, particularly prickly pear. Black-tailed prairie dogs get the majority of their water from their food, and they are themselves eaten by coyotes, American badgers, bobcats, foxes, eagles, hawks, prairie rattlesnakes, and black-footed ferrets. Reaching around 17 to 21 inches or 43 to 53 centimeters in length and 1.5 to 3 pounds or 0.68 to 1.36 kilograms in weight, with males being slightly larger than females. Black-tailed prairie dogs sport rounded heads, compact bodies, and long claws used for digging. Their coat is sandy-colored fur with pale coloration on the underside, and a black-tipped tail, hence their common name. The breeding season occurs from late February through April, and after a 33 to 38 day pregnancy, the other black-tailed prairie dog will give birth to a litter of 1 to 8 pups. Pups do not open their eyes until 30 days after birth, and they remain nursing underground for the first 7 weeks of their life. Pups are weaned very soon after they first emerge from the burrow and start eating grass. Females within the group will all help care for the young. Black-tailed prairie dogs typically reach sexual maturity around 12 to 15 months of age. Whilst females often remain with their natal group for life, males often set off to start their own territory and coterie. Under ideal conditions, a black-tailed prairie dog may live up to 8 years. Next up is Tridocna gigas, better known as the gigas giant clam or simply the giant clam. It is the most well-known species of giant clam in the genus Tridocna. Known to indigenous peoples in the area for thousands of years, Antonio Pigafetta also documented these in his journal as early as 1521. One of a number of large clam species native to the shallow coral reefs and lagoons of the South Pacific and Indian Oceans, here gigas giant clams can be found on the sandy floor or in amongst coral up to 66 feet or 20 meters in depth, particularly around the South China Sea, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Like other giant clams, these are filter feeders whose diet consists of various types of plankton and detritus. However, gigas giant clams are unique in that up to 70% of their nutritional needs are supplied by their symbiotic zooxanthellae algae. These clams sport a specialized circulatory system which helps them to cultivate symbiotic single-cell dinoflagellate algae in their mantle tissues. By day, the clam opens its shell and extends its mantle tissues so that the algae can receive sunlight they need to photosynthesize. In turn, the algae feed the clam the excess nutrients they produce. Reaching up to 4.6 feet or 1.4 meters across and upwards of 550 pounds or 250 kilograms in weight, gigas giant clams are the largest known extant bivalve mollusks. They sport 4 to 5 vertical folds in the shell. T. gigas are also the only giant clams unable to close their shells completely, allowing for part of the brownish yellow mantle to remain visible. Like many mollusks, gigas giant clams are hermaphrodites, capable of reproducing with any other member of their species. They do so by broadcast spawning with incoming tides near in accordance to the phase cycles of the moon. The fertilized eggs floats in the sea for 12 hours until eventually hatching as a larvae, which slowly starts to produce a shell, develop a foot, and begin swimming towards an appropriate habitat in which to attach to the bottom. Under ideal conditions, a gigas giant clam may live upwards of 100 years. Next up is Antrostomus vociferos, better known as the eastern whip-poor-whill or the whip-poor-whill. It is a species of bird in the nightjar family Caprimulligonidae, which is endemic to the deciduous forests and mixed woodlands of North and Central America, from Canada in the north to Costa Rica in the south, and from the east coast to the Great Plains. Often migrating to the north of their range to breed and to the south of their range to overwinter. It is named automatopoeically, like automatopoeically. Anyway, after its song, Waltz the whip-poor-will is commonly heard within its range. It is rarely seen because of its elaborate camouflage. Eastern whip-poor-wills are a nocturnal species which emerges at night to feed upon various flying insects such as beetles, flies, mosquitoes, and in particular moths. Eastern whip-poor-wills are generally solitary, preferring to spend time on their own. However, during migration they may form loose flocks. Reaching around 8.5 to 10.5 inches or 22 to 27 centimeters in length, and 1.5 to 3 ounces or 42 to 85 grams in weight, with a 17.5 to 19.5 inch or 45 to 50 centimeter wingspan. Eastern whip-poor-wills sport a large head and broad body. They have mottled camouflage plumage, with the upper parts being gray, black, and brown, the lower parts being gray and black. They have a very short bill and a black throat. Males have a white patch below their throat and white tips on their outer tail feathers. In females, these parts are light brown. Breeding often begins in March, with pairs meeting up and building a loose nest on the ground, in shaded locations among dead leaves. Here, a female will usually lay 2 eggs at a time, and the incubation lasts 19 to 21 days, being performed by both parents. Eastern whip-poor-wills lay their eggs in phase with the lunar cycle, so that they hatch on average 10 days before a full moon. As when the moon is near full, the adults can better forage at night and capture large quantities of insects to feed their young. Chicks hatch well developed and covered in down, but with their eyes closed. They are fed and protected by both parents and start to fly after around 20 days. Eastern whip-poor-wills usually produce 1 to 2 broods per year, and females tend to lay a second clutch while the male is still caring for the chicks as the first brood. Under ideal conditions, an eastern whip-poor-will can live up to 15 years. And our extinct animal of the week is Cryptoclidus, which is an extinct genus of plesiosaur reptile that lived around what is now England, France, and Cuba during the Calovanian to the Oxfordian of the Middle Jurassic period, some 166 to 160 million years ago. The first remains of Cryptoclidus, consisting of a partial skeleton, were unearthed from the Oxford clay of the Cambridgeshire, England, and was initially described as Plesiosaurus eurymerus by Phillips in 1871. Civic name meaning wide femur refers to the forelimb, which was mistaken for the hind limb at the time. The specimen was then described as Merinosaurus oxenensis by H. G. Seeley in 1874, and again in 1889 as Simoleosaurus oxenensis by Lydekker. After more specimens were unearthed, it was then again redescribed by Seeley in 1892, finally gaining the name Cryptoclidus, meaning hidden clavicles, referring to its small, practically invisible clavicles buried in the front limb girdle. Since then, several dozen specimens have been recovered, which provide a complete autogenetic sequence from very young to very old adult individuals. This makes Cryptoclidus one of the most studied and best understood of all plesiosaurs. 3 species are considered valid, those being C. eurymerus, C. richardsoni, and C. vaginalensis, reaching some 9 to 13 feet or 2.7 to 4 meters in length and 1,500 to 1,700 pounds or 680 to 770 kilograms in weight. Cryptoclidus was a moderately sized plesiosaur with large paddle-like limbs, a stout neck, and a comparatively fragile head. In life, Cryptoclidus used its numerous sharp teeth to catch squid and fish, and to perhaps sift and strain silty sediments for benthic animals such as crustaceans and worms. As always, take care of my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Hope you have a wonderful day.